AEW Dynamite starts off with a Max Caster promo. He comes out, props himself up as the best wrestler alive, and then he basically offers a open challenge to prove he's the best wrestler alive. Then you end up getting Hangman Adam Page. He comes out. Max Caster, of course, ends up running away because he doesn't want to fight Hangman. He tries to hide in the crowd, but the crowd ended up pointing him out. Then Hangman chases after him. Then he eventually gets in the ring and sneak and get a cheap shot on Hangman, which ends up starting the match. But Hangman, of course, ends up recovering and ends up picking up a very quick, easy victory, which I do enjoy because typically what AEW does is have a 15-20 minute match with two people that shouldn't be having a 15-20 minute match. So I'm glad that they made this 5 minutes because one of my worries was that this was going to be like a 15-20 minute match when it really should be like a 5 minute match. So I'm glad that they made this quick and simple. I enjoy what they did here. I'm assuming this is the end of the whole Max Caster Hangman thing. I'm assuming because Hangman got, he got to, beat up Max Caster for being annoying. And I'm assuming due to what happens later in the show with Hangman and MJF that this is the end. So I enjoy what they did here. This was a decent way to start off the show. After this, we end up getting Undisputed Kingdom versus the Death Riders. This match for the Trios Championships. This match got official last week with the Death Riders attacking Undisputed Kingdom last week on Collision. Towards the end of the match, it was a ref distraction. The Death Riders ended up picking up the victory. I know it was Will Yuta that did the low blow, but I think it was on Kyle O'Reilly or Roderick Strong. I think it was Kyle O'Reilly he did the low blow on. The Death Riders tried to attack the Undisputed Kingdom after the match, but Daniel Garcia ended up coming out for the save. Daniel Garcia and Undisputed Kingdom been having a lot of interactions on Collision, so that's why he ended up coming out. This match was great. I enjoyed this match. I really like what they did here. Of course, I'm not Undisputed Kingdom. Death Riders was going to pick up the victory. It only makes sense for them to pick up the victory. I do like that it was a low. We knew it was going to be some type of interference by some sort, but I'm glad it wasn't Moxley and Marina. I'm glad that it was just them using a steel, because I think it was Claudio, if I'm not mistaken. He ended up bringing out a steel chair, distracting the ref, which allowed Wheeler Yuta to head up hitting a low blow. I like that better than them doing a 5-on-3. So I like what they did there. Yeah. I ain't gonna lie, I actually forgot that they even hold the Trios Championships because they never show them on TV, so I forgot that they was even Trios Champions. But nonetheless, this was a really good match. After this, later in the show, well, not later in the show, this happened directly after, Adam Copeland and Jay White ended up stealing the briefcase. Steals the briefcase from Jon Moxley that supposedly holds the AEW Championship, and this leads into the main event because later in the show, Adam Copeland ended up saying that, look, if you want the briefcase back, you need to come meet me in the ring and see my request for that match at Revolution. So this leads into the main event later in the show. Then we end up getting MJF and Hangman. MJF was getting interviewed, but Hangman ends up interrupting. And then MJF ends up, responding back, ends up saying that whatever Hangman is doing right now, it's not him. He is lost. He doesn't know what he's doing. He is a complete joke. And that there wasn't I am going off the dome here, so I forgot entirely what he said, but he was saying something about him losing his friends, mentioning something about respect. Yeah, he was saying something about respect, if I'm not mistaken. He was saying that he lost all his friends because he wanted an apology, and that the only person that deserves an apology is him due to the lack of respect. I think that's what he said. Yeah, he said due to the lack of respect. And he ends up saying that he's going to do something that Hangman couldn't do, which is become a 2-time AEW World Champion. I like what they did here. I like what they did here. This was really good. This can be a really good feud, and this is the type of feud that MJF needs to be in, because the stuff that he was doing before was just ridiculous. So I'm glad that we're officially getting this feud. This is what MJF needs. This is what Hangman needs as well, because Hangman wasn't doing much of importance either. So I'm glad this is what they're doing. This was a really nice segment, which does end up translating into what happens later in the show, which was even better. So I love what they did here. After this, we end up getting Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata. They end up having a match, but it was against jobbers. Very quick. Samoa Joe gets on the microphone, basically talks about the patriarchy, and basically offers a challenge for next week, a trios match for next week. Whether or not it gets most likely is going to get accepted. I don't know how much longer they're going to go with this patriarchy versus, Samoa Joe feud. I'm kind of just wanting to end because it's not It's not bad. It's just not good. It's just kind of whatever, and I'm kind of just over it. Especially after that whole Hook and Taz altercation. Like, I'm kind of just over this feud. If I'm being honest, it's just kind of whatever. And then the patriarchy isn't as entertaining as they once were. Kind of just over it. So we'll see how this plays out. I'm assuming that Samoa Joe and them will probably pick up the victory. After this, we end up getting Chris Jericho and Brian Keith. They end up having, well, it started off with Chris Jericho having a match with Bandito. I think that's how to pronounce his name. It's playing the story of Chris Jericho trying to pick up the bounty of Bandito, but they ended up just jumping him. Then you end up getting the Outrunners coming out for the save. Then you get Big Bill, who also tries to collect the bounty for Bandito. Then you get Powerhouse Hobbs, who ends up taking out Big Bill. Okay, why was this on TV? Look, now I haven't mentioned Jericho and the Learning Tree in a while on this channel, mainly because he's been on Dynamite, but he's been doing like his like news report thing, so I haven't really been talking about that as much. But why was this on TV? I really don't understand why this was on Dynamite. I really don't understand. I understood the other stuff, like the Samoa Joe stuff. Even though he's more so been in and like on and off Dynamite, they've been kind of doing the Chris Jericho stuff, not the Christian Cage stuff on Dynamite. So I like that slide. This was kind of just weird because this hasn't been on Dynamite at all. This was purely off Collision, so I was just confused on why this was on it. Nonetheless, this was probably just the low light of the show, but overall the show was really good. But this was the low light of the show. I just didn't understand why this was on the show, to be honest. Afterwards, we end up getting MJF versus Dustin Rhodes. They put on a really good match with MJF picking the victory by putting him in a crossface, making Dustin pass out. Afterwards, he ends up attacking Dustin Rhodes, but then Hangman Adam Page ends up coming out. He comes out and they brawl. They end up brawling. Security got to break them away. They constantly break away from security. They're going all the way in the crowd, constantly going back and forth, back and forth. This was great. This is what we needed. This is the feud that I'm hoping that can take over as like that main event feud that can constantly keep us invested. Overall, the show was good. AEW for the past 2 weeks, which is including this week, has been good. They've really been good. I'm hoping they can keep this momentum. This is the feud that I'm hoping that can give us that vibe give us the vibe to constantly want us to come back. Like kind of like with Swerve, Hangman, Mariah May. Because right now they need that. They need that because the Death Rider storyline, I will say this episode did a better job of it. It's still not it, but it did a better job of it for this episode. But we need that one feud. I'm hoping this is it. This is great. I'm hoping the booking can deliver on this feud because this feud can absolutely cook. Afterwards, we end up getting Megan Bayne. She ends up making her singles debut. She had a match, if I'm not mistaken. It was against Anna Jay. She had a match. Of course, she picks up the victory. But then afterwards, we ended up getting Chris Statlander, who had a match against Penelope. And Megan Bayne ended up coming out, ended up attacking Chris Statlander. I don't know how I feel about it. I really don't. Because Tony Khan has not done the best job with his women's division. And especially with, the signing of Camille, what they done with her. Yeah, I don't have the most confidence in this, but I can see where they're going with this. Now, my only problem that I may have is that I don't know much about Megan Bayne, so it's unfair for me to judge her based off this. But based on what I've seen so far, it seems like she's playing the silent killer type of wrestler where her in-ring ability is going to do all the talking and she's not going to speak much, which is fine. But she's facing Chris Statlander, who's also not that great on the microphone. So I don't know how the story is going to really progress here unless they give her a manager to work with. I don't know. But Megan Bayne, it seems like they're trying to push her. Let's hope that they don't do what they did with Camille, or let's hope Tony Khan does not have his main issue, which is having fun with his brand new signee for like a good 2 months and then toss him away. So let's hope that that's not what's happening here, but we'll see how this plays out. Then we get the main event. We get Adam Copeland and Jay White. They're in the ring with the briefcase. And Adam Copeland ends up saying that basically, look, he wants Jon Moxley to basically accept his challenge at Revolution, or he's going to break the briefcase he ended up bringing out Spike. Then you end up getting Jon Moxley. He comes out and basically ends up accepting the challenge at Revolution. Then you get the Death Riders. They end up coming in attacking. They end up getting the briefcase back due to the numbers advantage, but the baby faces do stand tall. So we're end up getting Adam Copeland and John Moxley at Revolution, which I'm actually somewhat excited about, which is strange because at first I really didn't care, but I actually like what they did here. I like the whole briefcase angle. I like the whole threatening to break it. I do like what they did here, so this got me slightly invested. Overall, this was a really good show. This was a really good show. I really enjoyed what they did. It was really only like one thing that was really bad, which was the Jericho stuff. But other than that, really good. It was some stuff on the show that I haven't mentioned that was really good. Like Harley Cameron, she ended up having like a little rap vignette with over Mercedes Moné's CEO theme, and then it transitioned to her cutting like a passionate promo, which I thought was great. The Hurt Syndicate versus the Gun Club was also really good. This was a really good show. This was a really good show. This is all I asked for AEW. This is all I asked for. If AEW keep putting shows like this, you won't hear many complaints from me. This is all I asked for. But this was a really good show. You guys, let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's it.